Have you ever prayed for something so deeply that your heart ached with every word? Have you ever waited so long for an answer that you started to wonder if God was even listening? This is the story of Hannah, a woman whose tears became her prayers and whose faith turned her pain into purpose. Her story reminds us that sometimes the greatest miracles begin with the quietest cries. In the peaceful hills of Ramah lived a man named Elkanah. He was a kind and faithful man who loved God with all his heart. Elkanah had 2 wives, Peninnah and Hannah. Peninnah had children, many of them. Her home was filled with the laughter of little ones running around, but Hannah had none. Year after year, she watched other mothers hold their babies, rock them to sleep, and whisper their names, while her arms remained empty. To many, it looked like Hannah's story was one of sorrow and disappointment. But to God, it was a story still unfolding. Every year, Elkanah and his family traveled to Shiloh, the place where God's people came to worship and offer sacrifices. It was a time of thanksgiving and celebration. Families sang songs of praise, shared meals, and rejoiced together. But for Hannah, each journey to Shiloh was a painful reminder of what she did not have. Peninnah, the other wife, often made things worse. She would tease Hannah, mocking her for not having children. "Maybe next year the Lord will bless you with a baby," she would say with a smirk. Each word was like a sharp thorn in Hannah's heart. But Hannah never fought back. She stayed quiet, choosing instead to carry her pain to God in prayer. That year, when the family arrived at Shiloh, Hannah could not hold back her tears. She refused to eat and sat quietly apart from the others. Elkanah noticed her sadness and came to her side. Gently, he said, "Hannah, why are you crying? Why won't you eat? Why is your heart so sad? Am I not worth more to you than 10 sons?" Hannah tried to smile, but her heart was heavy. She knew her husband loved her deeply, but this was something even he couldn't fix. There was only one person who could understand her longing, God himself. Later that evening, after the family meal, Hannah quietly walked to the tabernacle, the place of prayer. Inside, the lamps burned softly. The priest Eli sat by the doorway, watching those who came and went. Hannah knelt down, her hands trembling, and began to pray. No sound came from her lips, but her heart poured out words too deep for anyone else to hear. Tears streamed down her face as she prayed from her soul. "O Lord Almighty," she whispered in her heart, "if you will look upon my sorrow and remember me, if you will give me a son, I will give him back to you. For all the days of his life he will serve you." Hannah's prayer was not just a request, it was a promise. She was ready to surrender her dream into God's hands, trusting that his plan was better than hers. As she prayed, Eli watched her carefully. Her lips moved, but no sound came out, and he thought she had been drinking. He said to her, "How long will you stay drunk? Put away your wine." Hannah quickly lifted her head and said, "Oh no, my Lord. I am not drunk. I have not had any wine or strong drink. I was pouring out my soul before the Lord. I have been praying out of my great anguish and grief." Eli's expression softened. He realized that this was not a careless woman. This was a heartbroken woman speaking to her God. He said to her, "Go in peace. May the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him." A calm peace filled Hannah's heart. She stood up, wiped her tears, and returned to her family. For the first time in a long while, she ate her meal with joy. She believed that God had heard her prayer. And indeed, God remembered Hannah. In time, her body began to change, and her heart was filled with wonder. She was going to have a baby. When her son was...
Thank you, Lord, for this precious gift, my sweet Samuel.
born, she named him Samuel, saying, "Because I asked the Lord for him." Every time she looked at her baby's tiny face, she was reminded that God answers prayer. As Samuel grew, Hannah never forgot her promise to God. When he was old enough to walk and eat on his own, she prepared to take him back to Shiloh. She made him a small coat with her own hands, packed their offerings, and set out with her husband. When they arrived at the tabernacle, Hannah found Eli, the priest who had once spoken to her. She said to him, "My Lord, I am the woman who stood here praying to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord granted me what I asked, so now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life, he will belong to him." With that, Hannah gave her little boy to Eli, fulfilling her promise. It wasn't easy. Her heart ached as she let go, but her faith was stronger than her pain. She trusted that the same God who gave Samuel to her would take care of him always. And so Samuel grew up in the presence of the Lord. He learned to serve, to listen, and to obey. In time, he would become one of Israel's greatest prophets, the man who would hear God's voice, guide a nation, and anoint kings. Later, Hannah lifted her voice in a song of praise, a song filled with gratitude and victory. "My heart rejoices in the Lord," she sang. "The Lord has made me strong." There is no one holy like the Lord. The proud are silenced, and the humble are lifted high. Those who were hungry are now filled, and the barren woman has borne children. Hannah's story did not end in sadness. The God who once seemed silent had been listening all along. And because of her faith, he turned her tears into testimony. Her story reminds us that God hears even the quietest prayers. He knows the tears we cry when no one else sees. He understands the pain we carry in silence. And in his perfect time, he brings beauty out of our waiting. When others mock you, when your dreams seem delayed, when your heart feels empty,
when we pour out our hearts before God, He hears us.
don't give up. Like Hannah, hold on to faith, because the God who remembered Hannah still remembers you. This is the story of Hannah, the woman who prayed, and the God who listened.